about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Well, we're in day 3 on the manhunt for the Brown University, Rhode Island shooter. The FBI has released photos of the suspect and has announced a $50,000 reward. The shooter injured multiple students and killed Ella Cook and Muhammad Aziz Zokov. And this was on Saturday when they were in, from what we understand, a study session for a test review before their finals. 9 other people wounded. And even though originally on that day a person of interest was arrested, that person was released, and authorities have now released photos and videos of a possible suspect. Reward has been offered, and the school has said in a statement, according to CBS News, that local police have advised they do not believe there is any immediate threat to Brown University students or the local community. There's been memorials and just absolutely heartbreaking. Ella Cook was a sophomore from Alabama and a devoted Christian, committed, according to the Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth. She was a devoted Christian and committed conservative who represented the very best of Alabama. A bright future was ended too much too soon. Muhammad Aziz Zokov, 18-year-old freshman studying biochem and neuroscience. His sister Samira said that her brother was shot while helping a friend during a review session for an economics final. So when you look at the pictures, this person looks about 5'8", stocky. They're describing him, but he was wearing a mask, a black surgical mask. We have been very, very frustrated. I have been very, very open and critical about what we did during COVID with the mask mandates, because one red flag of somebody walking into a bank or walking into your school that can give you some life-saving seconds to get the hell out is somebody walking in with a mask. That's how it used to be. Before 2020, if somebody walked in with their face covered, with the exception of them appearing to have medical conditions and having an oxygen tank with them and whatever, somebody walking in to your classroom or your bank or your grocery store wearing a mask or your 7-Eleven suggested that person might be trying to conceal his identity because something is about to happen, and it gave you a few seconds to, well, get your weapon ready, leave, brace, hide. Well, after COVID and the stupid mask mandate, you have this guy is walking around outside wearing his mask and nobody thinks anything of it. In fact, there were students saying that they, locked eyes with the potential shooter. They didn't know he was the shooter. He was walking onto campus. They didn't know, but he had a mask. Well, that's somebody wearing a mask because they're worried about COVID. It's 2025. When are we going to start outlawing masks so that we can gain our sixth sense again? Now, this really, really bothers me. You're seeing this man, you're looking for a man who's wearing a mask. Luigi Mangione did the same thing. After he shot Ken Thompson, allegedly he shot the CEO, United CEO, he's sitting at a McDonald's wearing a mask. If it wasn't for the McDonald's worker identifying the bushy eyebrows and pictures of, Luigi, possibly with the mask, I mean, we're trying to now identify people using their eyes, their eyebrows, their face shape. And this guy's wearing a cap also. I mean, he was hiding his identity. But now in any, area with cold weather, you're seeing people walk around with a surgical mask and a hat. You don't know if they're the next shooter or if they're afraid of COVID. And it frustrates me because our sixth sense, our instinct is to jump, run, know something's up. And now that people are walking around with masks, you're like, well, I guess it's somebody worried about. It's now commonplace for people to have their face covered. I can't stand that. Now, listen, you have an immunocompromised state and you don't want to get sick. I get that. And you feel like the mask is protecting you. It provides a barrier. It's not as good as an N95 mask, but it provides a barrier. But I think in society, we're going to have to come up with something where, somebody who's using it to be sick has a much easier, I guess, identifying feature than somebody wearing this mask because they want to go onto campus with a weapon and start shooting people. And it looks like he is casually leaving the campus. And nobody thinks anything of it because he's wearing a COVID mask. He's worried about COVID. This has got to stop. And I don't want us as a society where we're just assuming everybody around us is the next shooter. I also don't want us so vulnerable that we're just looking the shooter in the eye, not stopping him. I mean, imagine somebody coming onto campus with a mask before COVID. People would have been looking at him. They would have been like, excuse me, what are you doing? What are you up to? I mean, he might have been stopped because he was wearing a mask. Also, then, bad people and suspects didn't want to draw attention with a mask, so their face was open so cameras could catch it. Now, there's a lot of criticism of why there weren't enough cameras in the school. How come the university didn't have enough videos and cameras? Why are we on day 3? FBI is describing him as male, approximately 5'8" with a stocky build, wearing a COVID mask. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Apologize here for my volume. So the flu season is in full swing, and we hit peak flu season December and January. And unfortunately, we have people come back from the Christmas holiday sick. And so if you can get your flu shot, the flu shot does provide protection. People always say, but the flu shot never really provides 100% protection. It never will. On a good year, it's 60%. On a bad year, 12 to 15%. However, that still provides some protection. And for those of you that can be at risk of flu-related complications like pneumonia, heart disease, you don't want to mess around. And so they are saying that an aggressive new flu variant is sweeping the globe called subclade K strain. And it is a new version of H3N2. Now, influenza A, H3N2, we do have protection in our flu shot for H3N2, but these different subclade variants, it's hard to say how protective the H3N2 strain they decided to use back in February, because remember, in order for us to have a flu shot ready to distribute by August, preceding the start of the flu season, which starts in October, we have to decide what we're going to use in February. And that's before Australia's flu season and the Southern Hemisphere's flu season. So they take their best guess. They protect you from an H3N2. They protect you from an H1N1 and influenza B. And there's your trivalent. vaccine. And so, in an interview with Fox News Digital, Dr. Neil Manair, professor of public health practice at Boston's Northeastern University, spoke about this. And he says it's becoming evident that this is a pretty severe variant of the flu. Says certainly in other parts of the world where this variant has been prevalent, it's caused some severe illness, and we're seeing an aggressive flu season. So the typical symptoms, of flu is fever, chills, headache, fatigue, cough, sore throat, runny nose. But some people might have different symptoms. Some people might have severe body aches or severe headache or neck pain or other things. And there, unfortunately, people are calling telemedicine, as opposed to getting seen right away and get tested. And, I had a case where I really thought the person was going into meningitis. She was having a severe headache, neck pain, and light was hurting her eyes. Now, a migraine could do that, but also meningitis, inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. So I told her, I know you haven't tested for flu. It could be flu, but it could also be meningitis. I need you checked out right away. And so what I recommend you all do, and it stinks because they're kind of expensive. We bought a flu test. It was $10, $10 for one flu test. But you might want to have a flu test at the house. The mistake people are making is they're using their old COVID tests, saying, well, it's not COVID, so it's got to be flu. And not entirely. This, the new strains of COVID can be evading our at-home tests. But many individuals want to go to telemedicine and get treatment for flu. And if we start to become short on Tamiflu, and we were one year where the FDA had said a few years back, look, can you save it? We're short on it. Save it for the very, very sick or those who were confirmed. Because unfortunately, we ran low on Tamiflu, before the flu season hit in November. Because people were calling up in September, October saying, I have the flu. And they got all this Tamiflu online, and then we were short. So you might get a doctor online saying, look, we need confirmation. So you might want to get a flu test at home. The patients that have the easiest time being treated online are the ones that say, look, I took a flu test. I'm uploading it. Here it is. And don't get an online photo from Google, because with Google Lens, we could tell if the photo was somebody else's. But you take a flu test, you upload it, the doctor could treat you. Now, if you do have flu, the rest of the family can get treated. Where there's a little bit of an issue is people calling up online saying, yeah, I got flu, the whole family needs to be treated. And if the doctor says, who confirmed you? And they're like, well, we just have flu, that might run into issues. You have to have a confirmed flu test for the rest of the family to get treated. So far, I am not hearing that we are running too low on Tamiflu or Xofluza. So I think, but you might want to double check with your area. And you might want to also talk to your doctor about, what's the easiest way to get treated in case you do show up positive. But for those individuals that are struggling because they think they have flu and the online doctor's like, look, this could be COVID, this could be pneumonia, you might want to get a flu test at home that you could then take and then upload. All right. If you're not feeling well, stay home. You could recover faster, get some rest, fluids. Make sure you're vigilant about your health as it is. If you're not sleeping well and you're getting, you're eating poorly and you're not eating vegetables and that's going to be a problem. Your body's not going to have the immunity. If you like multivitamins, that's fine, but still eat healthy food. I see people chug a whole bunch of vitamin C once they feel sick. Well, if you were eating fruits and vegetables prior to you getting sick, that would have probably done more for you. So eat well, hydrate, rest well, and get the flu shot if you can, because it does provide some protection, even if it's not 100%. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So Trump is going to be suing the BBC News for $10 billion over manipulating and editing, allegedly, January 6 comments. Now, BBC says they're going to fight back, but they have come over intense scrutiny, according to Fox News, over this 2024 Panorama documentary. This centered around Trump's January 6, 2021 speech after he lost the election and Congress was supposed to ratify the results, the Electoral College results. And he had like tens of thousands of people there for his speech. and he delivered it. This was before people got, pretty upset. And actually, originally, people decided to walk through the Capitol with, flags and all that, and they were led by a security, walked them through, and then it took a different turn. Well, allegedly, the BBC documentary omitted Trump's call for supporters to be peaceful. Trump said, peaceful? We're going to, thank our I mean, it was more of a positive note, and that got edited out. And there was some manipulation of the verbiage. And so he has started the lawsuit as of yesterday for both defamation and for violation of Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act for $5 billion apiece, seeking $10 billion total. The suit was filed in the Southern District of Florida Federal Court, filed in a personal capacity, and names BBC and BBC Studio Productions as defendants. ABC and CBS have both settled with Trump in recent months. BBC, though, is going to fight the case. And the BBC spokesperson told Fox News, as we have made clear previously, we will be defending the case. We are not going to make further comment on ongoing legal proceedings. Now, Trump's legal team includes Alejandro Brito, Edward Paltzik, and Daniel Epstein. And, it's going to be interesting because here's the thing. The BBC apologized for the erroneous edit. They said they pulled the program from its platforms, but the damage is out there. The clips are out there. And we already have enough problems with deep fake. But when you have a news outlet such as the BBC, which is a trusted news source for many individuals that has a bias and manipulates news, allegedly, that's a problem. And saying, sorry, our bad, we took it down. Well, no, because there's clips of that. It's all over. And I guess the controversy began when the Telegraph featured excerpts from a whistleblower dossier that was compiled by Michael Prescott. It was a communications advisor hired by the BBC to review editorial standards. And they found that it had misleading edit of comments Trump made. And so I guess somebody BBC, I think, hired found this. And omitting Trump saying to protest peacefully, which, by the way, Trump had been charged for this. He had been impeached for this. And it's disgusting that the media isn't reporting news properly. And the bias is scary. It's disgusting. I mean, I prefer news that just tells you, okay, just tell me what the news is, but I don't really need opinions. But all these news stations now have panelists, and we have to hear their opinion. And I really don't care about the opinion. Just tell me what the weather is. Tell me what the news is. Tell me what's going on. Just give me news. But that's not what it is. Now these news outlets make shows. They have streaming platforms. They have docuseries. And if they have lies in there or false narratives, come on. Yeah, and so this is frustrating. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Famous Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the first hot flash I got, I was in my 30s. I was public speaking, huge room of people, and all of a sudden, I just got hot. And then I started to feel my makeup, and I wasn't wearing that much, but I could start to feel the makeup drip. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I'm very honest. So just while I was up there, I go, guys, I'm sorry, but I think I'm having my first hot flash. And then the attorney general who was sitting up front was like trying to fan me off. And he's like, Dan, it was really embarrassing. It wasn't so much I was feeling bad, but I was embarrassed. But I'm blessed because what women and suffer with when it comes to hot flashes is it's barbaric. And I am very, very grateful for our next guest. We have Dr. Diana Bittner, Chief Medical Officer of Women's Health, of Medical Officer of True Women's Health, Assistant Professor at Michigan State University of Human Medicine, and Wendy Lee Curtis. She's experienced moderate to severe hot flashes due to menopause, a huge patient advocate, and we all know Wendy, veteran news anchor. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure. Thank you for talking about menopause.
Yes,
Wow.
and I resemble that remark. We are kindred spirits.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Great. So either one of you could start. Talk to us about your experience with moderate to severe hot flashes due to menopause.
So, every woman experiences hot flashes differently. And what I would say about mine is, I have moderate to severe flashes that can come on suddenly, right? So my hot flashes just happen anytime, any place. And
Yep.
when they're severe, they can really impact what I'm doing. Whether it's at home, it shows up, as hot flashes at night, disrupting my rest and my sleep, or at work when I'm in front of the camera, having the same experience that you had with the sweat running down my face, or with my friends, if I'm, enjoying an adult beverage, suddenly it's just Niagara Falls.
Right. I mean, I'm too busy. I need to do and finish what I'm doing. I don't need to stop. And it's, the pathophysiology is fascinating. I know we don't have a lot of time, but Dr. Diana Bittner, talk to us about why this happens and why we go through these vasomotor symptoms.
Yeah, as you know, it's one of the most common reasons people seek care during menopause. These moderate to severe hot flashes and night sweats happen as estrogen levels drop. So as estrogen levels drop, someone gets closer to menopause and then through on the other side. Those hot flashes and night sweats start, and those moderate hot flashes start from the inside and just progress and can be as a sense of warmth, as you know, that spreads. And those severe hot flashes are very distracting and can cause sweating and, again, just a lot of distraction waking in the night. You know, I'm here, of course, as the doc, but I had my own experience, like operating with all the surgical garb on and then having a hot flash. So it was one of the reasons that I chose to get into this line of work after leaving OBGYN.
And, you know, so this medicine, Linquet, fascinating. Talk to us about what that is.
It is fascinating, and such good news that we have more options. Linquet is a prescription, FDA-approved, non-hormone medication that is indicated for the treatment of moderate to severe hot flashes due to menopause. So it's backed up by clinical data from the OASIS clinical trials that looked at the efficacy and the safety of Linquet.
A lot of people do not qualify for hormones, you know, with either breast cancer or blood clots. And so what's exciting about this is there's other options. And Wendy Lee Curtis, you've been using this, correct?
No, I have not, but I am absolutely 10 toes down in the realm of advocating for women seeking the care and talking about their symptoms so that they can get any measure of relief that can be gotten. Dr. Bittner talked a bit about the disruption and the distraction that moderate to severe hot flashes can have on a woman's life. And I'm just here to let women know that you don't have to go through life like this. There is a way to get care that is commensurate with your health needs and your health profile, and you just need to partner with your health team to get it done.
You know, I love what you're doing, Wendy, because, you know, a lot of us feel ashamed. We feel like, okay, well, now we've lost our youth. Now we've lost our things are getting better. I mean, you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, but people feel that shame. They feel that embarrassment. So having you advocate for them is a godsend. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And, you know, when you're the person standing there in front of the microphone, you're supposed to look like you have it all together. And so when suddenly the fact that something you have no control over is controlling you, it's discombobulating. It's a difficult truth to come to and to have to navigate. But again, there is care, there is treatment, and that's why I'm here. I wish that I jumped into it sooner.
Yep. And too many women suffer in silence. It's just so important to seek that care and get answers.
Exactly. Well, I wasn't silent. I was complaining the whole time. But yeah, sadly they do. I know we're coming up on the end. Doctor, anything else you'd like to talk to us about the safety and efficacy of Linquet?
Well, it's really important to talk about the safety and that it can cause nervous system effects. For example, if a woman has a history of seizures, it can increase the risk that she'll have a seizure. Of course, pregnant women should not take this. The most common side effects are headache and fatigue, and we know that it can increase the liver lab value. So it's really important to talk to a healthcare provider to see if this is right for you and to check out the prescribing information at linquet.com.
Absolutely. Where else can my listeners go for more information? You guys have been absolutely amazing.
You are too. Thank you for talking about this. People can go to linquet.com. That's LYNKUET.com and talk to your healthcare provider and see if it's right for you.
Dr. Diana Bittner, Wendy Lee Curtis, thank you ladies so much. We know there's a heart out. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait to have you back.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Interestingly, when I went through the menopause stuff, mine was different because I was in my 30s. So I'm in my late 30s and I'm starting to get hot flashes. And, you know, to me, I felt like I still was 16 in my head. And then I had to kind of remind myself that my body's going through changes. But I was still having my period. I was like, well, I guess, you know, if this is the worst of it, I'll just move on, whatever. But where menopause manifested for me was I wasn't sleeping. And so I go to my gynecologist for my regular exam, and she's like, how are you doing? And I go, I don't sleep well. She goes, let me test you for menopause. Now, mind you, I'm a physician. I've been doing gynecology for years. But I'm like, I know I'm not in menopause because I've been having hot flashes for a while. They're rare. They're far and few between. The period is, just like I was when I was 16. I don't think and I was in full blown menopause. I had the labs of somebody who hadn't had their period in years, but I was still having my period. And I was like, are you kidding me? But I didn't have really bad hot flashes. I just assumed that I was going to get really smacked in the face when I turned 50 because I was in my 40s. And she's like, you can't sleep. And so I think that's what it is. And she was right. She's a fantastic doctor, Dr. Kirsten Roges. So luckily for me, I was able to do hormones. But if God forbid I end up having an abnormal mammogram or something like that, I won't be able to do hormones again. And I've been able to sleep really, really well. I have like a topical estrogen progesterone preparation that I use. And actually, no progesterone, testosterone. Because I've had a hysterectomy, I don't need the progesterone. But I'm very, very nervous because if I can't use hormones, either because of, any medical issues or blood clot issues or breast cancer issues, I don't have an option. So the Linquet, sounds fascinating. So I'm going to definitely look more into that. But, men too, testosterone. Our testosterone doesn't necessarily go down the same rate, as estrogen would. I mean, for a woman, it's a lot more abrupt. But a man's testosterone being low could suggest other medical issues like diabetes, other endocrine issues. So many men, they'll test their testosterone, they're still in the normal level, and they're like, well, I guess I'm good. But if that level dropped a couple hundred points, that it might need to be addressed. So everybody should get their hormones checked. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
I'm really excited about our next segment. Participation in clinical trials, very critical. It impacts all Americans. But too often, patients who carry the greatest burden of disease are left out of the very trials designed to treat them. Now, this lack of representation not only limits access to cutting-edge care, but also weakens the science that drives new treatments, slowing progress. Expanding trial participation ensures new medicines are tested, safe, and effective for everyone who needs them. And many of you have actually reached out about opportunities with clinical trials. Well, I'm really excited about this. The WIN Awards program exists to address this critical issue. It was founded in 2020 with a $100 million grant by the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. It's an independent charitable organization implemented by the Virginia Commonwealth University Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center. And the program's mission is to improve participation in clinical trials to drive better health outcomes in all communities and hence save more lives. With over 300 graduates to date, its Career Development Award, a 2-year training and mentorship program for early career physician researchers, recently welcomed its 5th annual cohort, year 5. This is fantastic. And this new cohort has about 79 physicians being trained in designing and implementing these high-impact clinical trials, as well as the science of community engagement, with the goal of fostering community-oriented researchers that can help drive better health outcomes for all. I am really excited about this. This is huge. So joining us next is Catherine Grimes, president of the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation, as well as Dr. Robert A. Wynn, who is the namesake of the program, and they're going to discuss today how the WIN Awards is transforming clinical research. I am so excited. So let's start. So expanding participation in clinical trials is huge. It helps develop safe, effective treatments, but it's tricky. Talk to us about that.
I'll start with
you
that
want
one.
to start?
Yeah, I'll start with that one, Rob. Dr. Dahlia, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us on your show. And, you said it. Patients who too often, the patients who are most affected by certain diseases are left completely out of the clinical trials for the trials for the drugs to treat those diseases. And that means we may be not fully understanding how well the treatment works for all people who may need it. When treatments are tested on only a narrow group, researchers may miss critical information, such as side effect and safety concerns that could affect the group that are not included in the study. So by broadening participation, we actually improve the science. Ultimately, expanding participation strengthens the evidence behind the treatments, it drives better health outcomes for everyone, and it saves lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this Win Awards program. This is exciting. It helps build trust in communities. It expands access to this research. Dr. Wynn, talk to us about the Win Awards program.
Yeah, from my perspective, this was really brought about because I recognized that we were making progress, believe it or not, in the United States in the war against cancer. 36% fewer Americans are dying from cancer in 2024, 2025 than they were in 1991. Probably not as a result only of drinking kale and maybe, or drinking, carrot juice and eating more kale, but as a result, honestly, of the advancements of not only screening prevention, but the advancements in the clinical trial space. And yet it turns out that when we're looking at rural communities and underserved communities, they were less represented in getting the benefits. So this was a unapologetic, big, audacious goal of ensuring that if we can get to 36%, the way we were going to get to 50% fewer Americans is to make sure that we turn the access of clinical trials and making it more accessible to those populations that really need it. So that's the ethos of it. And at the center of that is how do we build trust? So we're not only designing the first group workforce in America of clinical community-oriented clinical trialists, not just in the United States, but in the world, that not only have expertise in designing and implementing trials, but they also have expertise and awareness of the science of engaging communities and using those tools to not only build trust, but to build impact and to build effectiveness. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Rob.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Rob, and that's exactly what we call the secret sauce to this program is it doesn't sound like a big deal, but to date, there's been no other training program to engage physicians and train them in clinical trials that trains them in not only how to conduct high quality clinical trials, but how to understand and engage with the community that they're serving. To date, that's really been the responsibility of the navigator or the outreach person or the extender. And the physician was really just tasked with focusing on the science and the clinical research and the study. But that's what's really different. And it's huge that we're training these physicians to become community-oriented clinical trialists and saying they need to own the knowledge and engagement with the community as well as the rest of the extension team.
My patients who participated in like the COVID vaccine trials or some of the cancer research trials, it was so rewarding. Not only did they feel that, they were getting access to care, but they also felt like they were helping steer some of the progress that we're making. It's huge. Talk to us about some of the progress that you've seen since the program began.
Yeah, since the program, and thank you for bringing that up. When we think about clinical trials, we've talked about it, and there's so much the ghost of the past, the Tuskegee and Henry Lax and things, that we forget about the power of its future, and that is hope. When you go in a clinical trial, you're doing two things. You're, particularly as a cancer patient, you're having the potential hope that, like some of the trials have extended somebody's life, it'll extend yours. You have the hope that if it doesn't work for you, it'll work for people, that come behind you. This is the power of hope. So this trial has the data to back it up. It's not just what we said, we like the trial and we like the people. The data are clear that we've collected over the last several years that this crew, this training methodology, this ability to show people how to get different people on the trials has beat industry standards and other standards by a mile. So we're able to get high impact trials into more places with our trainees than anybody else because they are fully understanding and aware of the importance of the trials and the importance of how to actually integrate that into communities. And so the impact has been huge in that they're able to get larger numbers of people in rural communities and at-risk communities onto clinical trials. And that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Now, there's still challenges that remain now, trying to expand participation and get people, talk to us about those challenges you guys are facing.
Yeah, I'll start
I'm going to let Catherine handle that one.
Yeah, and you'll probably have something to add too, Rob. But, Dr. Dahlia, sadly, Historically, many populations have been underrepresented in clinical trials due to cultural, socioeconomic, geographic barriers. And sadly, many of those challenges still exist today. And that's really exactly the barriers that we designed this program around and are training this physician specifically to address. To break these barriers, there's really an urgent need for the researchers to better understand the communities they're serving and build that genuine connection and trust so that they can engage and bring the standard of care and bring the science to all communities who may need it. And that's really exactly what the Win Award scholars are doing in communities across the country. And we think their impact is going to be felt for years to come.
Awesome. Wonderful. I know we're running out of time. How can my listeners find more information?
Just real quick, that this concept of tearing down barriers is not just something that you want to do. You have to have the skills to do it. And that's the additional thing that this program allows them to have access to, of how to tear down the barriers. So, Catherine, if you want to tell how to get into the program.
Yeah, Dr. Dahlia, now's a great time. They can go to winawards.org, and that's win with two N's, WINN awards.org. And now's a great time because we've got applications open for our clinical investigator pathway program. That is the program for medical students who are interested in getting exposure to clinical research career pathways. And in January, we're going to be opening applications for our Career Development Award. That's the 2-year award program for early stage investigator physicians. And again, those applications will open in January. So they can go to the winawards.org to not only learn more about the program, but to apply for one of our multiple awards in the program.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Can't wait to have you back. God bless you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Dahlia.
Thank you, Dr. Dahlia.
Anytime. All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.